Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And I was recently researching and reading stuff about hackers, okay? And you know that if 100 hacks is carried out by hackers per day, then only 5 hackers can get caught, or even less than 5 hackers. Now, the main thing about hackers is that they know how to hide themselves in the internet, okay? So, internet is huge, and in order to hide yourself while you are constantly getting monitored by all of the big companies and all of that stuff, so how they actually hide themselves. Now, do you know that if you connect to your computer, then you have an IP address, okay? And that IP address can be used to trace back to you. So actually I have made a PowerPoint presentation, so it can be easy for you to understand what I'm trying to say, okay? So let me just open it, and let's go in a presentation mode, okay? So let's say this is our computer, okay, and this is a web server. Now, in order for hacker to access this web server or hack this web server, he needs to connect to the web server, okay? But how will he connect? He cannot connect directly, okay? In order to connect to this web server, the hacker or anyone over the internet, okay, has to first connect to a Wi-Fi router, okay, or an internet router, or your SIM card only. So that will provide you the internet, okay, and the router will then connect to the internet service provider, okay, and the internet service provider will then be able to connect you to the web server, okay. So this is a huge long process that you have to go through in order to connect to a website, okay. So you know that in web server there are websites so you can access, okay. So whenever you are requesting something, requesting a website from your browser, then the traffic will go through the router and then internet service provider and then finally reach to the server, okay. Now, whenever you get connected to the router, okay, what happens is that you are on internet, okay, and then you need a identity, okay. So you cannot say that my name is our PC, okay. So you need a identity, you need a unique identity. So the router and the internet service provider will give you an IP address, okay. So IP address looks like this, and whenever you will connect to the web server, okay, this IP address will be shown to the web server. Now the web server will ask you for your identity, and your computer will give this IP address to your web server, okay. Now every web server, every web server or any type of server always makes a log file, okay. Now what is a log file? uh, who who access the website and who send a get request, or who is watching the website, or who is seeing what is inside this page, or requesting the page, all that stuff is saved in this log file, okay. So here you can see this is a simple example of a log file, and this IP address, say this IP address, you can even get the time, the date, and what you are accessing, okay. So you will, the log file will have everything about you. So if this is your IP address and you are doing something, illegal stuff, so my IP can be seen by the server logs, right? And if you are doing anything illegal stuff, okay, so let's say you are accessing a web server and you are accessing that page of web server which you are not accessed, you have no access to, and then what will happen is there are server admins, okay. Server admins will see the log file and see that something is wrong about it, and they will contact to the police, and you will eventually end up in jail, right? So from your IP address, there are something about this IP address that you your geolocation, your which device you are using, okay. Your IP address has all the information, okay, and you can get caught in very fast. So how hackers actually use their potential to bypass this all stuff, and they never get caught. Now what they do, now let's say we are back to the page. Okay, so let's say this is my IP address and this is my router and this is the web server. Now web server can see our IP address. Okay, now what if I just add a middleman? Now this middleman is a proxy server. What is a proxy server? So you know instead of sending traffic directly, you are sending it through a proxy server. This server has his own unique IP address. Now the web server will not going to the log file in the web server is not going to show your IP address. Okay, it will going to show this proxy server's IP address. Okay, and the web server there is a difficulty. Okay, so you are not accessing the website directly, proxy server is accessing it for you and then sending it back to you. So it is very difficult to get back to you. Now this is not actually difficult. If the web server admin will contact to the proxy server, then it is possible. Okay, but what happen if we add more than one proxy server? Now this proxy server this proxy server can be anywhere in the world. This will be on a different geolocation and this will be at a different geolocation. So the web server, the actual website, the server where website is hosted, there's a lot of problem for them as well to trace back the whole path and get back to you. It's a long procedure. So if you are using a long proxy servers, then it's called a proxy chain. Okay, now this chain will help you to mask your identity. Your IP address will not be shown. Your IP address will go through this server and this server will provide his IP address to this server. Now this server will provide, and so on and so forth. Okay, now let's see this router and proxy chains. Okay, now let's say if I am sending traffic to all of this chain. Okay, and let's say my this server is you know not responding. So this server is blocked and not responding, and maybe this server has a power cut or anything like that. Okay, so what will happen in that case? Now there are two different methods that you can use in a proxy chain in order to get your stuff done. Okay, so the first is a strict proxy chain. Now what will strict proxy chain do is he will go through this and then he will go through this, and if any of the server is broken, he will break the connection. Now this is really you know if you are using it and you don't know about this server. Okay, and you don't know that this server is up or running or not, but your work can be harmed. So if this server is not working, then you are not going to perform any of the stuff online, so your process will be broken. You have to configure that this server is not working, so you have to remove this server. Okay, and then you have to try the process again. Now the second thing that is called a chain dynamic proxy chain. Now what dynamic will do is if this server is not responding, he will automatically skip it, and he will automatically skip the server and go back to the next server. So if this is responding, your chain will be still active. So the strict chain does break of the network, and the dynamic chain does skip of the network. Okay, skip of the server. So this was whole thing about it. And now let's see how we can actually do that. So how we can configure our proxy chain. Now if we go to the terminal here, so we are using parrot here. So this proxy chain is pre-installed in this system. But if you don't have proxy chain, then you can always use sudo apt install proxy chains and it will install in your system. Okay, now you need to configure this up. Okay, now there is a lot of headache in choosing the server that which server you are going to send your traffic through. So if you are aware about the Tor network, so what Tor network does is the same thing I explained you. Okay, he the network that Tor manages is always about the servers that are located on different geolocations, and the IP is your request is going through all of the server, jumping by jumping and going through the endpoint. Okay, so in this video we will use Tor network as our server, okay, as our proxy chains. So first you need to install Tor as well. So in my system Tor is already installed. You can always do sudo apt install Tor, okay, and Tor will be installed. Now what we have to do, so let's say I have to give my uh, always make sure that you have the root privileges before you are doing that. Okay, now you have to use your text editor and go to this path. So proxychains.configuration. Now this path is where the proxy chain config file is located. Now hit enter on that, and here you can see these are the whole proxy server settings that you don't have to configure any of that. Okay, so by default the strict chain is open, so I have to just close it, and we will use dynamic. Okay, now I don't you don't have to explain everything, you just make it work. Now make sure that proxy DNS is on, so it will never leak your DNS data. And right now in here you can see that the SOCKS 4 is default configured to the network that Tor uses. Now Tor is always running on this IP address, that is your local host, and on this port. Okay, so now SOCKS 4 is outdated, so we'll use SOCKS 5 as well, so that if SOCKS 4 is working he will get through that as well, and if SOCKS 5 is working there will be no issues at all. Okay, now let's give another space over here so it looks good. Okay, now control X Y enter to save. Now we are good to go. How can we now use proxy chains? So in order to use proxy chains, whenever you are using any command, so like what hackers do is they have to get an nmap scan of their nearby computer. Okay, so what will they do is, let's say I have to do an nmap scan on my computer, that is, let me open it and let me give a SSH port over here. So let's say I have to give a nmap scan to my computer. Okay, so what will I do? I will just type proxy chains nmap, and you know any flag will work. So let's say version, and then we'll give the IP address, so 192.168.100. Now, what will this do is you are now using proxy chains for all of your commands. So this command that you are using will not go directly, it will redirect through proxy chains. So your IP address will not be shown to this system that you are finding nmap scan of. So it will give you the scan and give you the result, and if you are doing it just like that, then there will be a problem. You first have to open Tor. So how can we open Tor? So sudo service Tor start. Now my Tor network are open, and then I have to uh, redo the command, and now here you can see it gave me a scan. Now I was not running Tor network, so it was not responding. Now here you can see this is going through a direct chain, and now this network is denied because I am inside my local network, and it's scanning through my local network as well. So here you can see the port 8022 is open in my in my device, and it is a SSH port. So you can scan here. So let's say I have to use proxy chains to browse something. Now, if I'm using my browser, then I cannot use it directly. I have to use proxy chains. So now if I use proxy chains and I will run the browser, okay, so I have to, exit from the root and then use proxy chains. Proxy chains does not work on root, I guess, Firefox. Now, what will do that your browser will be opened, and you are now whatever you are going to search. Let's say I will search for Wikipedia. Here you can see that there is a latency. Okay, now I don't live in Netherlands, so he's giving me a location of Netherlands. Okay, let's open this website. Here you can see I'm obviously not in Netherlands, but it is giving me a location of Netherlands. So my location is hidden, and this is not my IP address. Okay, so you can use proxy chains to do all of that stuff, and this is a really great thing if you want to use and hide that you hide your identity over the internet. Then this is going to be a really good tool for you. So make sure that if you are using proxy chains, you don't use it and do any of the illegal stuff. Okay, you don't have to get in trouble, right? So thank you so much for watching this video. If you really enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, guys.